Dear people of Ambazonia, my fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement, accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro, this Sunday, the first day of the month of December 2024. Of course, this is the last month of the year 2024 that has just started, so we're about to see this year out. My people, I'm delighted to be back here today so that we get yet another very interesting session of information and strategy exchange. So if you are just connected, I will implore you to fasten your seatbelt, settle down, because we have a lot to discuss today. We will look at certain issues regarding the current brawl on the so-called, I say so-called because I don't even know, what they thought it was intended to achieve, so-called what La Republica calls Northwest House of Chiefs. We will also look at pass through a brief operation that took place in Ndabesi, in Bamenda a few days ago. Of course, there will be some mention about the situation with Comrade Cho Ayaba, who is still in incarceration in Norway. But most importantly, there is something very, very, very serious going on in Chomba. That will be the crux of the discussion, and that is what we are going to end on, because we will address the other issues while we give room for others to join this live broadcast, so that we reach as many people as possible, so they have a clear view, clear knowledge of exactly what is going on in Chomba and what La République du Cameroon, in tandem with the elite of Chomba, both home and abroad, are actually planning on their own community. And this does not only concern Chomba. This is what has happened across the territory of the southern Cameroons, the territory of Ambazonia. It's something very important, very critical, that we need to pay heed to. And so, if you're just joining, fasten your seatbelt, get a glass of water, and have it handy so that you will remain hydrated as we continue on this conversation. I know it should be pretty late out there on ground zero, about I guess it's 11 p.m. I know quite some of us are already asleep, but those who are still awake, make sure you share the link as much as possible. I know tomorrow, Monday, is Country Sunday, and so those who are unable to watch it live now will have the opportunity to, watch it using the link on YouTube. That said, my dear people of Ambazonia, sometimes we sit and we hear people tell us, oh, that thing they call struggle is over, it's finished, and all of those things. Because sometimes when there are low moments, and in every armed conflict across the world, you always have low moments where you almost think that it's forgotten, everything is over. Suddenly, you see escalation and all of those, despite efforts in place generally to de escalate the situation. So, a few days ago, in Bamenda, the talks of La République du Cameroon, sent to Ambazonia by Mr. Paul Biya to go wreak havoc on our people, had the opportunity to learn about this, along with the colonial administration. They had the opportunity to come face to face with that reality that it is really never over until it is absolutely over. And so I got this report from Nzui Manto, who had the opportunity to report on what happened there. And what is interesting with Nzui Manto is that he keeps what he calls his own official count of the number of La République du Cameroon, soldiers, gendarme, police, B, and everything put together, that have so far paid the price of reckless occupation in Amazonia. So you see, he says that un policier abattu ce jour par les Ambazoniens à Bamenda. So he says le gardien de la paix de deuxième grade, Chini Roland, Chine Rolanda is the name of the La République du Cameroon police officer who fell in that attack. I understand another one was seriously wounded and sustained life-threatening injuries. So I haven't had an update as per his situation as he was taken to the hospital. And so Chini Roland paid the price on the spot. He says the attack, he says that as the Lord didn't attack Eclair. Eclair actually means this was a surgical attack in Bamenda Center around a place called Dreamland, that's at the Tabesi Junction. So he says the police officer's weapon was carted away, and then he ends up as usual with his count. So according to Nzuimanto, some 1,519 soldiers of La République du Cameroon have already paid the price according to his own count. But I mean, there are other sources that have generally put the number of La République du Cameroon soldiers that have paid the price for the reckless colonial presence of La République du Cameroon in Amazonia to over 3,000. So one Zuimanto has here is the count as he sees, because there are a lot of incidents that have happened in very remote localities that have never been, reported. And of course, you are aware that La République du Cameroon does everything in its power to conceal the fact that their soldiers are paying a heavy price. Why? Because they want to continue to play on the morale of their people in the pious hope that the people should continue to support, should continue to support a vain war because La Republic's presence in Amazonia is not justified, and there's every reason why the people need to understand and know that what is going on in the southern Cameroons is actually aggression. Because since the conflict has prolonged and with a lot of their children dying in this conflict that they thought was going to last 2-3 weeks of a cleanup in the southern Cameroons, a lot of citizens of La République du Cameroon are now going out there to really research to know exactly what is happening in the southern Cameroon, to know exactly why the war is ongoing, and to know exactly why the people of the southern Cameroons don't want them on our territory. And of course, they are beginning to learn. I know we all had listened with pleasure to one citizen of La Republic, a journalist on one of the radio stations in Douala, an FM station, explaining in very, ordinary language to the ordinary citizen of La Republic du Cameroon what exactly is happening there and making them know that La Republic du Cameroon is fighting a war of blame. This is an achievement obtained through the resistance by the people of the southern Cameroons. And don't always forget, our people never got up and picked up arms against La République du Cameroon. Our people have simply been defending themselves from aggression by La République du Cameroon. Let's take a quick watch at a film of exactly what happened in Tabesi as captured by a citizen reporter who happened to be at the scene.
Donkey man.
Jesus! Where?
No, they are still there. See. Yes, you want.
No, what happened now? I said, what's happening with the killer?
I don't know.
The boy didn't get hurt. Jesus!
Life. For afternoon.
So, as you have seen for yourself, this was broad daylight. You've heard the comments by the citizen reporters who were capturing this, this action, And as you can see in the video, the soldiers, the thugs, and all not were there at that checkpoint, because that's a checkpoint where they have been extorting money from bike riders, from taxi drivers, harassing citizens and collecting money from them, looting from them. I mean, exacting serious acts of brutality on the civilian population at this particular checkpoint around Dambesi Junction on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And so the self-defense volunteers decided to come put an end to this particular activity at this place. But the curious thing, or the interesting thing you notice in this video, is that when the self-defense volunteers arrived, those people and they all disappeared completely. I mean, they all escaped. They went into hiding, and when their colleague was knocked down and the other one seriously wounded and the arm taken away, and the weapon taken away, when they are left, that is when, according to reports, they now came out of their hiding and started breaking into, stores by the roadsides in this particular area, harassing people and saying that they were looking for the boys who carried out this action. But you have seen that as soon as the boys finished their operation, they left the scene. And it's after they had left the scene that the thugs on the Republic du Cameroon came to now begin harassing unarmed civilians. And they broke into shops, looted as usual, claiming that the people who own those shops who were along the road there, that they have been harboring and cooperating with and hiding the self-defense volunteers. But you see from this video clearly evident that they came on their bikes from wherever they were, finished with their operation, and took off. This is what has always happened. Whenever they are overwhelmed, whenever they are overcome by the brave self-defense volunteers, they wait until they are gone, and then they turn their eye on the civilian population. This is what I've constantly decried. Because they should come out there. This was in broad daylight. Not in the hide that they say that in the night that they will say that they were not seeing. But they all disappeared. They all vamoosed, only to come back to harass the local population. This is exactly what they have been doing. My people of Ambazonia, you can see there, and you heard the comments in the video, like, oh, say, this can get hard. We're commenting on their bravery. Now, we have heard a lot of reports on that Cameroon, how all this thing is finished. We have even heard from some clergymen, oh, everything is back, literally back to normal, life has returned to this and all. They told us that they have wiped out all the self-defense volunteers. There is no one else. But this, you can see with your own eyes. And this is about the third of such surgical attacks within a week. My people of Ambazonia, I've said 1,000 times, we have to come to the reality that as long as the colonial administration of La République du Cameroon stays on our land, you will have these daily confrontations. And I constantly use this opportunity to urge the civilian population, always make sure you are security conscious with whatever you are doing. Especially this period of end of year, don't be anywhere out of your house after 6 p.m. because you have a lot of these things going on. And you also have the talks from La République du Cameroon harassing people a lot more now. We heard what they went and did in Foya, in Bafut. That's a president in Bafut, not very far away from my phone point. They went into Foya, broke into homes, looted, carried people's properties, left there with truckloads of young people, so many of them, for no good reason. Their claim, searching for self-defense volunteers. And when they carried them and went, people started negotiating their freedom by paying 50,000, some 100,000 in order to be let go. They did nothing. This is the kind of harassment that has been going on our land on a daily basis. Yet, some so-called elite, some self-styled elite, both those who belong to the CPDM crime syndicate and some who are even based abroad and hoping that they can gain something from the ailing Paul Biya's government, continue to stand with and support these invaders and cheer this harassment on the same people they consider or they claim are their people is really regrettable. But like I said, be security conscious at all times in Ambazonia during this period of end of year. Be security conscious. Make sure not to find yourself at the wrong place, with the wrong company, and at the wrong time. Make sure not to get yourself into harm's way by being an informant to the invading forces from La République du Cameroon. Because usually they are the same people who go point you out and give your name to the self-defense volunteers that you are cooperating with them. This is a fact. And you know when that happens, the self-defense volunteers will consider you an enemy because by that time you simply become a La République du Cameroon soldier in civilian attire. They come after you. I'm saying it and I'm repeating. Make no mistake. The same forces of La République du Cameroon that you are cooperating with are the same ones that give information about you cooperating with them. You know, I've said always, where it seems public knowledge that, oh, the people of Ambazonia are so divided, they don't say the same thing of La République du Cameroon, but they are far more divided than us. Far more divided than us. Such that even within their ranks, there are far more black legs within La République du Cameroon military than there are within the Ambazonian community. This is something I want you to take note of. Bear this in mind. By the time you decide to put yourself in harm's way by going to cooperate and collaborate with the invading forces from La République du Cameroon, you are setting yourself up in a battle with no hideout. And this is something you need to consider seriously. So I received a lot of calls from some of our people the other day telling me, what do you think about the group, one group led by some Southern Cameroonians who went and attended the 17th session of the United Nations Forum of Minority Issues in Geneva, in Switzerland. Of course, I know these people were propped up by HD and yet other groups have been struggling to see how to push and maintain us under slavery and servitude to La République du Cameroon. So they asked me, what do you think about them advocating for a referendum for independence in the southern Cameroon? So I'm just passing on this because I'm going to have a whole slot again on this. I talked about this before, but I will come back to it. And this time I'll be talking it out. I will have on this set Professor Carlson Anyangwe and also Barrister Bobga Harmony Mboten. In talks with them, and we will agree and have a slot together where we will have an elaborate discussion on this. What I'd like our people to know is that this notion of referendum, people think it's a bad thing. Some people think, no, it's not a bad thing. I've never said it's a bad thing, and I will never say it's a bad thing. It has happened practically, in a lot of liberation movements. A good lot of them ended with referendum. It happened in South Sudan. It happened with East Timor. I think the same thing that happened in Eritrea. But go back to those particular liberation movements and see at what stage the issue of referendum came on, and see the circumstances under which the issue of referendum came about, and see exactly how, because of such circumstances, the referendums were organized to attain the results that were attained in each case. Then you will understand why some of us feel some of these calls at this point in time are lousy and empty, to be very factual. So these calls at this point in time are lousy and, they don't make sense. Because first thing you need to note about this is, if you call for a referendum at this point in time, right now as we're speaking, I don't know who even runs La République du Cameroun. Because if I were president of La République du Cameroun, or the government of La République du Cameroun, I would jump on the occasion immediately. Because if they were to jump on this now, no one from anywhere will come to organize that referendum. It's a leaker of La République du Cameroon that would organize that referendum for you. You know why? Because they are still present on our territory. Because at this point, there will be no point saying the UN is coming to supervise or who is coming to no. Because they are still making claims that they have sovereignty, that they have a sovereign claim over our territory. And of course, organized by Eleka, you know the result even before they start campaigns for that referendum to take place. That's why I say it's a vain call at this point in time. Any meaningful referendum in a conflict situation like the one going on in the southern Cameroons comes as part of a comprehensive peace agreement. Why? Because during a comprehensive peace agreement, the conditions for the organization of such a referendum will be debated and agreed to by both parties with all guarantees of fairness and transparency secured. You don't just get someone and say, go and organize a referendum. La République du Cameroon is telling you already that they organized one in 1972. You know how it was organized, and you know how the results were. Like I said, I don't want to take a lot of time on this slot right now because we have quite other important issues to discuss. I'm not saying this is not important. I'm saying this is just too important that I can't handle it as a sub-issue, but I'm just mentioning it, and so I'll be coming back to it with eminent scholars who should be able to share their vast world of knowledge with us on this platform so we understand, so we grow to get a good grasp of exactly what is going on. This is very, very important. Very, 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 very important. So I will come back to it, in another slot. And then I will also be having a conversation in the days ahead with Comrade Nyi Julius on this platform. That's a vice president, the vice chairman of AGOFC. And even this issue I'm going to be talking with him about, I will also still have the opportunity to evoke it with Professor Carlson Anyangwe and Barrister Bobga Harmony during the discussion on the referendum. We will touch on the issue of the incarceration of Comrade Cho Ayaba in Norway. As you can see on this paper here, what I'm interested in more is the footnote right down there, where you see Mr. Felix Mbayu, who is the minister delegate at the Ministry of External Relations in Cameroon, in charge of relations with the Commonwealth. You see what he says there? He says that the issue of extradition of Comrade Cho Ayaba is, out of question. He says that one should be forgotten. It's not going to happen. That is giving the impression that La République du Cameroon has given up trying to, fight for the extradition of Comrade Cho Ayaba from Norway to Yaoundé. My dear people of Ambazonia, I'm bringing this up here because I want us to talk about it very briefly. And again, as I said, when I'll be on set with Comrade Nyi Julius, we will talk about it too. Let me be very clear here. Diplomacy is, an art. Diplomacy is a practice that operates best in silence, under the tables, behind closed doors. That is where diplomacy is practiced at its best. Now, when you see someone like Felix Mbayu volunteer a press interview, don't forget, Felix Mbayu is a career diplomat. Before becoming a minister delegate at the Ministry of External Relations, in charge of relations with the Commonwealth, he had been director of the Commonwealth for a long time in the Ministry of External Relations. He is a seasoned career diplomat. When you find him volunteer to talk to the press about an issue as sensitive as this one, and then says no extradition is ruled out, folks, take note. This should be clear evidence that La République du Cameroon is involved with France in very serious under the table deals to secure that extradition. Did someone hear me? I hope you got me well. If you didn't get me well, let me come back to it. I am saying that when you see a Cameroon diplomat to the rank of Felix Mbayu volunteer a press interview, a press outing, in which he states, seemingly unequivocally, that extradition for Comrade Cho Ayaba is ruled out. Come on. Take note that at this moment I'm talking to you, there are serious undercurrents, serious negotiations involving France to see how to twist even Norwegian laws, to see how to twist even German laws, because Comrade Cho Ayaba is a German citizen, to see how to, they are ready to buy it with anything. Resources, money, all. They are doing everything. Don't forget this. I've said this before. While legally, there is almost, there's less than 5% chance. Legally, following legal instruments, both in Germany, a country of citizenship of Comrade Cho Ayaba, and even in Finland, because Finland itself doesn't have an extradition treaty with La République du Cameroon. So, despite this huge legal challenge and barrier, which says there's less than a 5% chance that should happen, don't forget the rogue approach by rogue countries that are always ready to forfeit whatever they can forfeit to Western powers that are generally after their interests, their economic and other interests, than your interests and mine, so they can secure what they will consider to be a huge prize for them. They know that getting Comrade Cho Ayaba from Finland to La République du Cameroon is not going to end the war. But one thing they are certain about is the psychological impact that it will have on the people of the southern Cameroons. That's why they have been more engaged in the psychological warfare than actually on winning on the ground, because they've come to the realization that winning on the ground is near impossible at this point in time. I'd like to state here and make clear to each and every one of us that much as within our various groups, movements, and organizations, people could have differences with one another, it is always important for us to run to the rescue of a comrade in trouble. Make sure we send away the common enemy, and then we will come back in the house to resolve our personal conflicts. This is very important. Absolutely important. Let me say this. Even an American citizen who has too many problems back home that can be causing a lot of disorder back home, finds him or herself in trouble with another country, the government of the United States, the people of the United States want to deploy all resources necessary to unhook this person from foreign trouble, bring you back home, and settle with you back at home. Because it will be an embarrassment, a disgrace, it will be shameful that it will be some other power taking upon itself to discipline a US citizen. There's the same notion we should inculcate in ourselves as Ambazonians. Even if we have disagreement among ourselves, even we feel like you have been a bane to us, you have done this, you have done that, I'm not asserting. But the first and most important thing is to do what this African proverb says. You first of all chase away the hawk before you blame the mother hen for wandering so far into the forest with her chicks in the first place. But the first and most important act, chase away the hawk. You must. That's a duty. It is wisdom, even a duty, to make sure Then we are standing with Comrade Cho Ayaba in this situation. And we have differences, we have serious points of discord, we have issues that we pick with this approach to anything, we will address that as Ambazonians within our house. Not the enemy that should come do it for us. That will not be possible. So I'm calling on all those who are involved currently with the defense of Comrade Cho Ayaba. This is the moment to raise the guard the more. Because especially the way the matter was handled during the last appearance, where with no precision as to why there was an adjournment, I mean, the judge simply adjourned the matter to January without giving specific reasons why there had to be those adjournments. That should tell you about the pressure that is ongoing in the background. And so when Dr. Mbayu Felix makes this statement in the press, is to send the people of Ambazonia to sleep. I've said here, Kenya appears not to have an extradition treaty with Nigeria. But the Lord Nnamdi Kanu of Biafra from the United Kingdom into Kenya. And when he got into Kenya, the government did not even let him get into the mainland. Right from the airport there, they smuggled him straight into Nigeria. And the Kenyan government even attempted to refuse. I wonder if today they have even come out to admit that Nnamdi Kanu arrived in Kenya and they bundled him and shipped him to Nigeria in violation of both their national and international law. They want. The same thing happened again recently with Kaiser BCJ, the Ugandan opposition leader. He was in Kenya. Again, the same Kenya. This raises Kenya to the status of a rogue state. It raises Kenya to the status of a rascalic state. Kenya they simply smuggled Kaiser BCJ too. He disappeared in Kenya, and then suddenly they have been found in detention in Uganda. These are the kind of things. So we don't take anything for granted. Don't do. We have to pay attention. Okay? So I've sounded the alarm. Pay attention to it because this is very important. Let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll look at the things that are happening at the with Fon Yakum of Bambalang and Lele Lafrika of the Ben Chofu in Bamenda. Welcome back from the great state of Manu in Ambazonia. That very beautiful number there. I mean, ushering us into the next issue of conversation. So, you're welcome back, folks. I got up to see this report the other day. Northwest Governor calls House of Chiefs President to order Horse Plant Festival. So I was trying to find out what was going on. So I understood that Lele Lafrik de Ben Chofo has called on the president of the moribund so-called House of Chiefs, who is also the vice president of the region, to order for unilaterally struggling to organize a heritage festival without prior authorization. Keyword, prior authorization. My dear people of Amazonia, you keep hearing people, some delusional folks, come talking to us about something special status, some special status that they claim to have achieved at one thing probably organized called Grand National Dialogue, which even his own people called Grand National Monologue, and which I mean a lot of people knew was a simple distraction because of the pressure that was being brought to bear on Mr. Biya in the international scene at that time, particularly through the United Nations. And so he organized some rubbish called Grand National Dialogue that was codenamed even by people of the CPDM crime syndicate, codenamed Grand National Monologue. So at the end of that thing, they said they had come out with something that they were calling special status for the Southern Cameroons, La République du Cameroon, that came into a union of two states equal in status with the Southern Cameroons, and they were known as the Federated State of East Cameroons, and the Southern Cameroon was known as the Federated State of West Cameroon. That one has suddenly got up and decided that they were now giving special status to the other one, which has been swallowed over time. And so, as part of the so-called special status, was the creation of some rubbish nonsense called the Houses of Chiefs. So they said there was one Southwest House of Chiefs and another Northwest House of Chiefs, and they claimed that this special status was guaranteeing autonomy. But now you are seeing here that while from Yakun Shomitang of Bambalang, who spent over 9 months, in limbo, with no one intervening, save for the fact that our self-defense volunteers, despite all, the exactions of some of these lost souls, continue to hold the institution of chieftaincy in the Southern Cameroons in very high esteem. So this gentleman definitely got up and told himself, deceived himself, that the men that they actually had autonomy, that they were actually like elected and had some level of independence, because they say that the regional assembly is made up of members elected, and of course they have the autonomy to do this, to do that. I think he tried now, and he understands very quickly that while they claim to be elected or whatsoever, of being an instrument of a special status of decentralization, that he is they are strictly under the appointed colonial governor of La République du Cameroon, appointed by Mr. Paul Biya. That is why Lele Lafrique de Benchofo is saying that even to organize, a heritage festival to promote the culture of the grass field, Lele Lafrique, has to grant prior authorization. Did somebody hear that? Lele Lafrique, has to grant prior authorization. And because that authorization was not obtained, he has stopped it. Would this serve as a lesson to those delusional individuals who continue to make noise here and there and up and down? Some of them talking about federation, talking about whatever. In the psychic of La République du Cameroon, there is no such thing that will ever exist as autonomy to anyone, anywhere. Everyone will have to be under the grip of Yaoundé that will tilt you left, tilt right, up, down, as they wish. Well, we have said a long time ago that even La République du Cameroon itself did not know what was the content of that so-called special status. Some people moved around making claims, the manifestation are already, the regional assemblies are existing. Of course, the regional assemblies too should be existing in the other regions of La République du Cameroon. Or the House of Chiefs are there and they have autonomy, they can do their things. This is a very brutal reminder. A very brutal and energetic reminder there from Adolphe Lele Lafrique de Benchofo. So those delusional people, hurry back home. We will always be here to welcome the prodigal sons. That's why too often we say, where is the prodigal sons? Tell them to. Where are the prodigal sons? Tell them to come without delay. We will receive you in the house for the fight of independence. That is only how we restore the soul of our land. I'm still on that particular saga because while this one was still going on, there was also this letter that brought, a lot of, that has caused a lot of ink to be spilled. This letter is signed by His Royal Majesty von Kevin, this is daughter of the paramount son of Bambalang, and I know his name is also Shometang, and he writes to Senator Enwe Francis. I don't know who elected him senator because we never had those elections in our land. Those are people appointed by Yaoundé in those positions. I've said before that Francis Enwe, I call him Honorable Francis Enwe because there was a time he won elections to go to parliament when we were participating in those elections. After 2016, anything that has happened, the people are on their own. They don't represent the people of the Southern Cameroons. So I write to Senator Enwe Francis, Senate Yaoundé, subject request for clarification on the use of traditional regalia. And he writes, Venerable Senator, oh wow, that's big. I'm writing concerning a matter that has been brought to my attention regarding the use of traditional regalia. I have been reliably informed that you were seen in Yaoundé recently wearing a cap, and such a cap has a cultural significance which its use is reserved. I would like to invite you to provide clarification on the circumstances surrounding its use. I kindly request that you present yourself to the Northwest House of Chiefs on Tuesday, the 3rd of December 2024, to discuss this matter. Please bring the cap in question for reference. Respectfully, His Royal Majesty from Yakum Kevin of the paramount son of Bambalang, as he says. So now, yeah, he's a paramount son of Bambalang. That's not is not being contested. So, look here, folks. You see, this is not the first time that we're having some of these calls to order regarding the use of the traditional regalia of especially the grass field of Ambazonia by sons and daughters of of our country. This is because some of this traditional attire, they do have some specific significance tied to our tradition. Although all this will be on sale and on display in the marketplace by the people who weave them, people who produce them, and all of those things, the use of some of them actually tells a story, actually identifies the user with a certain class in the community or with a certain caste, with a certain level, and will determine the level of respect or the level of treatment that the locals will give to this person relative to the attire that you are wearing, because there is a significance to it. There may be chaos right now or not, but our culture remains our culture. So some will argue that a lot of this attire are on display in the markets. Anyone can buy the thing and wear it the way they want. No. Listen, when you wear it and move to certain places, what you wear, and we as people of the grassroots, we all know it communicates certain messages. If you're a title holder, depending on the kind of title you hold, there are those that you will wear to official events which will indicate the rank that has been conferred on you or that you represent. If you are a fawn, the ones that you wear, they leave nobody in doubt. When they see you, they say, this is a fawn. If you are a Moramo, say if you are a neck, the one you wear will indicate. If you are Wer, the one you wear will indicate. If you are Homso, if you are a Shufai, what you wear will also indicate. Because a Shufai will be different from just a Fai. And so it goes. And so therefore, not too long ago, I heard the funds had called the attention of an artist who has been doing a lot as a cultural ambassador, Shea Longtum, to promote the culture of the people of the Grassfield in music. They called his attention to the traditional attire he had been using. And they told him there are some that you are using that you really should not use because you have not been conferred traditional authority up to that rank. it generally calls for debate. Is there an ombudsman? Is there someone given the charge to call people to order about using some of these things? Or we as a people know and recognize our culture and want to respect it because that is our identity. And so we understand that I should not use this. So when you use it, someone will call you to order and say, please don't. I say this because sometimes we have heard of things that happen in our communities. You just see there's a traditional event, you rush to say to a friend, oh please, I have not bought my own traditional attire. Can you give me your traditional attire so that I use? And this person perhaps has a rank that you don't have. They'll just give it to you. You take and go. Some people have come back with myths of facing, sometimes certain mystical repercussions in some localities and all of those things as a result. I recall a friend borrowing a traditional attire from his friend who was of Bafut origin. And this one in Bafut, they called him a Mo. And when I used in his own village for their cultural festival, now this attire had a moon behind it, had a moon. Now take note. If you may even be an elder, you may even hold a big title. If in your own land, people who hold that title are not allowed to wear that traditional attire with the moon behind during official events, and you do that, you are breaking the rules recognized in your land because those rules are established in our various villages. We know them, and we should respect them as art. That's why when in the Bible people ask Jesus Christ, should we pay taxes? He asked them for the coin. I looked at it and said, whose face is this on this coin? It said Caesar. That give to Caesar what is Caesar's. So we definitely do recognize this. It's something very fundamental. And so if you get certain things that create confusion, when you get to certain places, they begin asking questions. You're a traditional authority, but not to the rank where you should cover your chair with the tiger skin before sitting on it. You can't do that in your house. Nobody cares. You're doing that in your house. You can do that in your but for an official event, or you move out of your house and you do that somewhere else, they begin asking questions. Like I said, nobody's placed as a police to police you from not doing that. But this is the culture of the people who recognize that this is how culturally our society is organized. So you submit yourself to it, not because someone is behind you with a cane, but because this is our cultural identity. That's what I'm trying to drive at as I'm explaining this over and over. If you were given a red feather, you'll be allowed to wear that red feather on your cap when you move around. But if you were never given one, you cannot just go pick up your red feather and put there. But now, because a lot of our traditional rulers decided to desecrate their thrones by getting into politics, into partisan politics, there is now confusion in the land. There is total cacophony. And this cacophony has resulted to all this. You now find people from somewhere, a fun cannot crown you. His subject as another form can only give you a title. Can only give you a title. And once that title is conferred upon you, you know they spell out to you what that title means, the privileges it gives you, and the kind of way you carry yourself along. But today, some of these titles are bought and sold to the highest bidder because of the quest for enrichment. No regard anymore paid stricto sensu to the tradition, and so the confusion is ongoing. You have an individual who sit maybe wherever, they just come and crown you, maybe in the US, in Nairobi, Kenya, in London, in Berlin, and suddenly you find somebody starts wearing cowries on their cap, the expert moving all over the place, starts having tools. That man is already a fund here. Those things are the things that have brought this confusion. And then politicians they have just messed up the whole place. So, while this picture, as you see, because this is the cap that is at the origin of all this, that cap has cowries. That's clear. Normally, this cap with cowries will be worn by forms. Sub chiefs, not all. Some sub chiefs may not even be allowed to wear this per the traditions of the particular villages that they come from. But this thing is reserved for forms. You have sub chiefs, and in some localities, some traditional elders with very high rank were allowed to wear something close. But the ones with cowries completely, these usually are reserved for forms. For forms. So now, Enwe Francis wore this in Yaoundé. Whatever event it was, I can't tell. But this did attract the ire of the forms. And so he led von Yakum, therefore, of Bambalang, who is also House of La République's created moribund so-called House of Chiefs. So he thought it made sense for him to summon Enwe Francis to go to the House of Chiefs and explain how he found himself wearing this cap. I'm sure he forgets that because they have been on a rampant distribution of titles for money, for whatever and everything and all whatnot, it's possible that Enwe Francis might have even picked his own, might even already be a shoe-fi, a title, because the fund himself recently has been on a title distribution spree from his makeshift palace in Yaoundé. He has been, spraying those things around very seriously. It's possible that Enwe Francis might already have bought his own from there and then puts himself in this light. Or there are many others who are selling those things. So the cacophony has come as a result of the involvement of our traditional rulers who naturally should be above partisan politics because they are funds for the entire village, for everyone. They will accommodate politicians from all political outfits in the village. Normally the same. But because Mr. Paul Biya had successfully blackmailed a good lot of them into the CBD and crime syndicate, everything goes. That's how we get ourselves here. But again, this also served as another opportunity for yet more backlash and interference from Lily Lafrique de Benchofo. Thus, this letter issued by Lily Lafrique de Benchofo to von Yakum, and it writes, the governor, of course, colonial governor, to the president, regional executive council, Bamenda. So he did not write to von Yakum directly. He wrote to the son of another fon, Angwafo, who says he's the chairman of the regional council. I don't know who elected him. We don't even recognize that rubbish in our land. So he writes, request for clarification on the use of traditional regalia. It has come to my knowledge that a certain correspondence number 24 of 25th November 2024, signed by the Vice President of the Regional Executive Council and President of the House of Chiefs, Northwest, and addressed to Senator Enwe Francis relating to the subject cited supra, is circulating on social media and raising lots of dust. Should this be true, and in order to put an end to such unorthodox mode of operation, to ensure the respect of human rights instruments, oh my goodness, La République du Cameroon knows about human rights. So the use of the traditional regalia now has to do with human rights. Wait, let me exclaim a bit. I have the habit of laughing at some of these foolish things. Let's continue. So he says, I hereby, so he says, human rights instruments duly ratified by Cameroon. I hereby request you to refer him to law number 2019 /024 of 24 December 2019, instituting the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities. In its section 359 and 337, in its sections 359 and 337, and other relevant provisions, which clearly state the functions of the President and Vice President of the Regional Executive Council. The House of Chiefs is not a tribunal or an ombudsman, and therefore has no authority whatsoever to either determine or question any individual on his or her dressing code, let alone a senator of the republic. Furthermore, this action is a blatant abuse of power as well as an infringement on the personal rights of individuals. May I inform you that this is contrary to the laws and regulations of the republic and likely to attract legal consequences. Couch. All this grammar because they called Enwe Francis to order on something that Enwe Francis, as a son of the grassfield, should know. It's simple. Enwe Francis would rush to the forms, I don't care whichever one, or could refer to his phone, who will notify the other phones. No. If you see him wearing this, it's because either the phone himself gave him a title, he bought his own from there, or I gave him a title, or some other person gave him a title, or he has been made chief somewhere, and so he now wears this. Otherwise, I am a traditionalist, and I will say this. It is our tradition. If we recognize it, we have to respect it. It's true that I don't recognize some rubbish called House of Chiefs that created by the Republic of Cameroon. No. But in this matter of the tradition, Lily Lafik the Benchofo has no finger. He has no right getting himself into, and I don't see how he becomes an instrument of human rights. So that is how Cameroon sees human rights. When they took Sam Sawyer right in front of Lily Lafik the Benchofo in Bamenda, a lame fellow, a physically challenged fellow, brutally murdered him, or rather skinned him alive on camera. Lily Lafik the Benchofo did not come out to talk about human rights. International human rights instruments ratified by the Republic du Cameroon. When they descended on people in Gabo, burnt children alive, including a pregnant woman, I did not hear Lily Lafik the Benchofo talk about human rights. When Mr. Biantox raped a young lactating mother in Bamenda, and the soldier was caught red-handed in the act, I did not hear Lily Lafik the Benchofo talk about respect for human rights. When they descended on Azeri Orchard Junction, Bengui Road, destroyed, burnt down houses, looted at random, Lily Lafik the Benchofo did not come talk about respect for human rights. I said just the other day, they were in Foya, barefoot, where they broke into people's houses, looted, carried things, carried television sets, radio sets, carried all kinds of things, stole money, stole everything that they found on their way. Just a few days ago, I'm not saying something of 1 year ago or 1 week ago. It's less than a week ago. And carted so many young men for nothing. When I kept them, we're now collecting 50,000 or more from each to release them. Where was Lily Lafik the Benchofo to talk about human rights and to talk about threats of legal action? Enwe Francis, Honorable Enwe Francis, you are a son of the grassfield. You know the tradition. You know the right thing. You know what you have to do. It's our tradition. It's our culture. We know how it works. They say, when you build your masquerade, you must be the first to honor it so that others should follow suit. Pidgin puts it very bluntly. What you tie juju, now you must first respect them so that other people them they go honor that juju. This is very important. And we should not let politics get into this and try to bring some stupid confusion. Okay, that said, we will attack the last and most important aspect of this broadcast. We'll take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll go straight to Chomba. Stay glued. I see some of you have requested that I share this with you. We'll find an opportunity to upload this beautiful soundtrack all by itself so that, you can get it from there. But, it's a very colorful and very interesting number. So, you are welcome back. Like I said, we'll be heading to Chumba. My dear people of Amazonia, there is something serious, very serious, that is going on in Chumba. 2 days ago, I got a tip-off from some very high up in the military of La République du Cameroun, who was shocked and embarrassed that the people will sit all by themselves and decide to use their own money to bring calamity into their land. This military top gun from the Bulu tribe in the south region of La République du Cameroun reached out to me and said, Mr. Akuro, I see you are making noise every day, our people, our this, our fight, and you blame everything on the government of La République du Cameroon. You blame everything on us and France. You blame everything. He said, I want to draw your attention to the fact that your own people, a lot of the time, for pecuniary benefits that they expect from the government or Mr. Paul Biya, bring a lot of destruction, disaster, and damage to their own people because they want to curry favors. And you sit there and blame us. Where we sit in our corner, they come to us. I was tearful. I thought I was dreaming. When this gentleman told me that the elite of Chomba, including some prominent ones in the United States of America and Western Europe, especially in America, because they gave me some names in America, names of Chomba elite in America. Because for those in the CPD and crime syndicate, I don't care. That has been their job. But this involves people who are seated in America, that they contributed millions of CFA to give to the gendarmerie company, to the military general in Bamenda, to request that they should create a military base in Chomba. Listen, our people are reeling from torture of the presence of La République du Cameroun in our various localities. Yet, prominent children of Chomba, based in the United States of America, I say I have names given to me by this military officer, because they approached the military command in Bamenda to request for the creation of a military base in Chomba village. And they told them, we are not ready. We do not have the resources to create a military base in every village. And we don't see the need at this time to create a military base in Chomba. Rather, they said, we have been working to create a military base in Wakan. Yeah, specifically in Wakan. Around a place there they call Silver Spring. Because the reason for creating a military base in Wakan is to interrupt traffic around that area. That they feel that the Southern Cameroon self-defense volunteers are using the roads around that particular area to move equipment and all kinds of things around. In fact, it serves as a serious communication hub or channel. And so that is where their focus is, to create a military base. And so that they were not ready to create a base in Chomba. Another reason they advanced was that in Chomba, at least 90% of the population are in support. That's what this military official told me. That according to their records, at least 90% of the residents of Chomba village are in support of the self-defense volunteers whom they accommodate, abet, and work with, and they don't have problems with them. And so creating a military base there will expose their soldiers to rampant surgical attacks, because the population will continue to cooperate with the self-defense volunteers and give their positions. And so it will put their soldiers in harm's way. They prefer to go into Chomba, operate, and run. Don't forget, this is coming on the heels of an operation that was conducted by the military of La République du Cameroon in Chomba over 2 weeks ago, an operation during which the people saw hell. There was looting like we have never heard in Chomba. They broke into people's houses, carried equipment, extorted money from people. They beat people, carried a lot of people into detention, and people had to pay hundreds of thousands, some even millions, to get free. There are some who have not even been accounted for until this minute that I'm talking on this set. During that time, through the cooperation of some in the development organization in Chomba, what we generally call development, the Chomba Cultural and Development Association, or something, the Chomba Cultural and Development Association. Some of the executive of this outfit, in working with this so-called elite abroad and those in the CPDM crime syndicate in Yaoundé, provided information that brought in La République du Cameroon soldiers, and they were able to capture one of the self-defense volunteers was leader there, that was generally referred to as General Foolishman. So when they captured him, and I understand they actually even went through his wife in working with this so-called elite. So when they captured him, they expected that he would behave like others that they capture, and they use him to, for him to reveal the hideouts of others so they can be able to annihilate them. But Foolish Man decided to be brief all the way to the end. He refused to cooperate, and they finally stabbed him with a knife, and and he died. So when this happened, following the serious looting in the village, those with knowledge of the cooperation of some in the village development association revealed their names to the self-defense volunteers. But more, those in the military who handled dispatches and who organized the raid in Chomba also released the names of all those who cooperated with them. And so, when the High Command of La République du Cameroon's military in Bamenda, Mesa, realized that the information was already out about those who cooperated with them, and that those people had knowledge of the kind of methods that they used, the right abuses involved, what did they do? They decided to themselves wrap up 4 of the main people. Those people will include you had Fontara. Is it Fontara? No, I'm seeing the names here once. Yes. So you had Anu Samson, who was the president of the Chumba Cultural and Development Association, Peter To, who managed the local water project, and a local church pastor, along with Fontara, who was also father of a former self-defense volunteer. Those are the 4 people who were captured. And of course, this Fontara, his son, who had been a self-defense volunteer, had defected, and he joined the La République du Cameroun organized a disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration center, and so he appeared to have been cooperating too with the soldiers of La République du Cameroun. So the soldiers of La République du Cameroun, to make sure they close their tracks, and I mean with full knowledge of the fact that anything that happened, it will be easy to say that it was carried out by the self-defense volunteers, went out and captured these 4 people. Of the 4 people captured, 3 have already been killed. They saw the remains of 3 that have already been killed, and 1 is still missing. And now, I saw a report by Mimi Mefo Info and others claiming that this act was carried out by the self-defense volunteers in retaliation for the supposed cooperation of these 4 people with the forces of La République du Cameroun. I'm saying here that my source made clear that these people were already exposed, and it was obvious that they could be captured and they would give more information on the operations that were already planned with them. And so to halt this, La République du Cameroun soldiers themselves had to take them out. That's exactly what happened. But right now, what is going on right now is that, like I said, the so-called elite, some of them based in the United States of America, where I am and talking, I have been convincing myself seriously not to put the names out yet. But I will eventually get to that. If this act really goes to maturity, I'll be left with no option but to release this name so that within the Ambazonian community, we all know those who are actually helping to get our people killed by the talks on La République du Cameroun. It's very shameful. It's so disgusting to imagine that some people will work their money and prefer to put together millions of CFA not to help in the community, rather to bring woe onto the people. Because this military source was clear. In the event they finally create this military base in Chomba, they will not be able to have over 50 men stationed there. And so, one thing that should be clear in everybody's mind is that since they themselves, the military, assess that at least 90% of the people sympathize with and support the liberation movement and support the self-defense volunteers, there is going to be some kind of a cleansing, because they will have to be identifying these civilians and wiping them out for their own survival in the land if they end up creating a military base. Does this make some sense to anyone? Can someone understand what I'm talking about here? And before going out to carry this so-called elite have taken the giant step of getting their family members out of Chomba village. I spoke to some denizens in Chomba. Unfortunately, they didn't grant me the authorization to use their voices in the audio communications we had, that we exchanged. I would have played the voices here so you hear them say that while Chomba was literally a no-go zone to La République du Cameroun, the people were able to open up a lot of roads that did not even exist before. The people were able to extend and expand their water project. the people enjoyed some moment of real calm and had a lot of wonderful things going on their land. Save for the times that La République du Cameroon invading forces came in to attack and there was serious fire exchange. Today, Chomba is being carved out as the next place where you will get massive bloodbath. We know what happened in Bambui or in Kejom when the fund of Kejom Keko invited the creation of a military base. Like I said, this is shameful and it is disgusting. Because when La République du Cameroon talks get to the place, they are going to be organizing a cleansing. A lot of civilians are going to die. And take note, the self-defense volunteers are already aware. How did they get this information? Like I said earlier, all this information is revealed back to our people by the same people, officials of La République du Cameroon dealing with these lost souls calling themselves elite. They go back, they give the information. Because like I said, a good lot of them are also blacklegs in their communities. So look at this letter. This is a letter that I obtained. Curiously enough, this letter came to me from the Bulu military man that was talking to me. And this is a letter I see written here by Jack Boy, and it's dated November 23, 2024. And it was shared but to the quarter heads, only to the quarter heads, for them to communicate the information to their communities. And they say, accept greetings. I'm declaring to this community that in all honesty, we don't have a hand in what is going on in these community disappearances. We hold nothing against this community, and we are still on investigation. It has come to my notice that some elites from home and abroad are funding to establish a military base in the village. This present situation does not permit me to rally people, which explains why I am reaching you through your quarterheads. I may reach you with time. As of now, since this community has decided to bring in military, make sure you send out your sons and daughters because we are very ready to face them when they come. Be mindful, the youths are at risk. We have never wanted the destruction of this village like other places, which explains why you have never witnessed any attack on the military here. I am sorry to say this out. Tell those behind this plan to think twice. They all have properties in the village, and upon any military base here, we shall begin by destroying those properties before facing them. Be mindful, I am not afraid, and nothing can change me. But then, every person should mind his or her own business. Thank you again. Folks, listen. Ordinarily, I wouldn't read this kind of letters on this platform. For one simple reason. Because I will not propagate threats on people's lives and properties. I won't do that. But I'm reading out here as a measure of sensitization that we recognize that by our own acts, we are about to bring trouble to ourselves. It is a former government delegate to the Bamenda City Council, Bajomia Petho, who said, when two elephants are fighting, it is the grass that suffers. So what is going on right now is that this so-called elite based in the United States and those in the CBDM crime syndicate in Yaoundé, they have taken their family members out of the village and they are now setting the scene for a full-scale bloodbath in that village at the detriment of those who do not have anywhere else to go. And now you see these threats. Because once you say a threat, you should expect a counter. So what is going to be going on in Chumba? Should this so-called military base materialize? I am already personally placing the responsibility at the feet of those who are using their hard-earned money to want to bring doom onto their people. Where in the world have people ever said that bringing martial law in your land is beneficial to the local population? Expect rampant looting, expect constant rape, expect constant torture, expect extrajudicial killings in Chomba. Who does this? Who does this? Right now, as I'm speaking, I said earlier on this show that if you are in southern Cameroon, all counties concerned here, Faku, Meme, Ndian, Kupuwanenguba, everywhere, Menchum, Momo, Mezam, Bui, in short, everywhere, be mindful. Like I said, this end of year is usually a very critical moment. Because as I speak, and especially for those in Bamenda, since last week, some children are called them children of the land. That's the citizens of the southern Cameroons, who are members of La République du Cameroon's B. Some of them joined even before this liberation movement started. Some of them joined while it was on. They are the ones being used now in civilian attires to drive taxis, clandos, and even ride some bikes on ghost town days. And because you know that Saturdays have been set aside in that area, on my 90 Chomba and all of those things, as lockdown in that area, getting right into Bali, Chomba, my 90, it's in honor for the morning of General Foolishman, the fall of one of their General Foolishman. Even yesterday, Saturday, there are 12 of those guys who were sent out. If you notice, they were driving clandos, taxis, and some of them were riding bikes in this area which was totally dead and nobody was moving around there. They were doing that. You will find a taxi or a clando, with about 2 or 3 people, sometimes 3 or 4 people inside there. 2 of them will be those B, and then some will just be those rampant innocent passengers who just jump in, not knowing that they were actually getting into a car being run by the military, who have specific targets and whose lives could even end up in jeopardy. So you have this kind of people operating around. Reason you should be very, very, very vigilant, because they were the ones doing transportation between my 90 to Bali, this Saturday, November 29. They will be out there this Monday, December 2. They will be all over the place. So keep watch. They say it's lockdown, it's ghost town, stay in your house. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't become collateral damage. This is very, very important. So carrying passengers to that hotel around there, they call Silver Spring. And so we really have to be careful. Yeah, we really have to be careful. Because a good lot of them have also been dropped in Watkan. They are in civilian attires. They are doing just those kind of same things while they're preparing to see if they should be able to build a military base there. So my people of Chomba, doom is descending on your land. There are people who are responsible for this. Like I said, I have the names before me right here. Even in the course of this broadcast, about 3 or 4 times I've thought of just throw the names out there, but something keeps asking me to hold back. But if at the end of the day, trouble begins in Chomba, like I said, I'll be left with no option but to make those names public, so that we all know those who are behind this heinous acts on their people. When you call yourself an elite, if God blesses you with money, blesses you with resources, it is for you to be a blessing to your community and not a curse. I don't know whoever did this to us. I really don't know. So I want to thank all of you who took time off to be on this broadcast. It was a pretty long one, but it was absolutely important for us to evacuate all these issues, for us to discuss all these issues. If you didn't finish the show, you make time again and come and continue. I mean, because I will have this stay on YouTube once the show is over. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy, the rest of your night. Good night to those of us who are watching from Ground Zero, and have a wonderful rest of your holiday evening. To those who are in the United States of America, and good night also to those who are watching in Western Europe and other parts of the world. Thank you very much. Until we meet again here on this platform, it's a goodbye from me for now.